Gene Prochet, Fernando Azola, and our project is called the Retro Arcade Pi. Basically what it is, it's we turned our Raspberry Pi into a retro arcade using, and we made our own custom joystick. The first person that's going to talk about it is Gene Prochet.
All right, so like Michael said, our objective was basically just to take our Raspberry Pi and turn it into a retro video game arcade. In the process of doing that, we decided to take it one step further, so we decided to also build a controller for that arcade. These are the materials that we're using for our project. Raspberry Pi, the Model B arcade joystick, 2 arcade buttons. We decided to implement that for certain games. Arcade button quick connection pair so that we can connect it to the GPIO on the Raspberry Pis, female to female jumpers, and the frame of our controller is a walnut hollow roomy box. Scopes of projects and limitations. By adding the PiMem to our Raspberry Pi, we're able to do certain different types of emulators. We also help configure the arcade joystick to it as well. The limitations really, like, there's different types of keys that can be used on an actual keyboard, but because we built our own controller for the arcade, we're limited to just the motions, the direction with the joysticks, and 2 buttons. So if there's certain games that we're just not allowed to play. I'm gonna lead it off to Zola.
Alright, so this is the emulators that you can install on the Raspberry Pi. You have MAME, CPS, Neo Geo, PlayStation, Genesis, SNES, NES, Game Boy Advance, SUMM, Atari, Game Story, and Commodore 64. For each emulators, you have to install the sound drivers and the graphic drivers to work. Without it, you get no sound and you get no drivers. And currently we have the Neo Geo and the Advanced MAME currently installed on the Raspberry Pi. So when you download each emulators, we need to download the sound drivers and the graphic. We also need to download the BIOS for each emulator. So without the BIOS, the ROM will not work. The ROM, which is the game that we're gonna play. So the device is the code to use. Is the code used to start the emulators so you can play the game ROM.
Oh, so one of the parts that we needed to make the custom joystick, the custom controller, was the joystick. It consists of 5 pins, 4 for each direction and 1 for ground, and they're connected to the general GPIO. This is the schematic for the joystick. Obviously, you need for the box. We need to make the holes for the box. You need to use a certain drill bit. I think I used a 1 3/8 inch, and then I sanded it in order for it to fit the joystick properly. Same move for the buttons also. And this is the pin layout for the joystick. You can use any of the GPIO. It doesn't really matter. For the code for the joystick, it was a lot.
Are you sure you can use any?
Yeah, you can. Any of the ones except for the voltage ones.
Yeah, voltage.
The ones that are grounds.
Those are always going to be set.
But I mean, yeah. The code for the joystick, majority of it was accessing the pins on the Raspberry Pi, and in a nutshell, it was basically you choosing the pins that we use and setting it to a key on the keyboard. So we're accessing pin 25 of the GPIO, and we're setting it to the key left, so it's replicating the keyboard key. And that's the presentation. So we're going to present it working right now.
Can you go back to the previous one?
Okay.
What kind of a program is this?
C program.
Yeah, C program. There's a lot. It was a lot to
Yeah,
it, but we just
more.
wanted to focus on
What
how
is
we're
it?
actually setting up the GPIO with the controller itself.
All right. So I'm gonna show it on this computer. You wanna bring it over here?